An adopted kid once sketched a risky idea from the passenger seat of an old Chevy while driving across America. Just a strange belief that the internet would change everything. 30 years later, that simple idea quietly pulls in over $1 million every single minute. But here's the part no one talks about. The real strategy wasn't selling products. It was something far more dangerous. And the moment the regulators showed up, he disappeared. Jeff was born in 1964 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His mother, Jackie, was still a teenager when she had him. His biological father left early, so Jeff grew up without knowing him. Later, a Cuban immigrant named Miguel Mike Bezos adopted him and gave him both a new name and a stable home. Mike had come to the United States alone as a young man and worked hard to build a life, which had a strong influence on Jeff's mindset. This background helped shape Jeff's thinking about discipline, hard work, and taking risks. Even though he was adopted, Jeff always saw Mike as his real father and often credited him for providing the support that helped him succeed. As a child, Jeff was very different from other kids. He was extremely curious, always asking questions and trying to understand how things worked. While other children spent more time playing, Jeff would spend hours building things or reading. He even showed an early interest in space and the future of humanity. Later, he went on to study at Princeton University, where he chose electrical engineering and computer science, fields that were still growing at the time. He graduated with top honors, which helped him land jobs at major companies. Before starting Amazon, he worked at D.E. Shaw & Company, where he became one of the youngest senior vice presidents in the company's history. Everything looked stable, but deep down, Jeff was preparing for something much bigger. After seeing how fast the internet was growing, Jeff Bezos started thinking deeply about what kind of business he could build online. He carefully made a list of different products that could be sold on the internet. There were many options, but one idea stood out: books. Books were perfect because there were millions of titles, they were easy to store, and simple to ship. No physical store could carry that many books, but an online store could. This simple insight gave Jeff a strong starting point. Even though he had a high-paying and secure job at D.E. Shaw & Company, Jeff made a bold and risky decision. He chose to quit his job and start something completely new. Then he quit. Along with his wife, Mackenzie Scott, he moved from New York to Seattle. During the long drive, Jeff continued refining his business plan while Mackenzie drove. Step by step, the idea was becoming real. When they arrived in Seattle, Jeff set up the company in a small garage. The early days were very simple. He built desks out of wooden doors to save money and focused on keeping costs low. This became part of Amazon's culture: spend carefully and invest everything back into growth. Amazon almost had a very different name. Jeff Bezos first leaned toward Cadabra, inspired by abracadabra. But that idea died quickly when his lawyer misheard it as cadaver. Not exactly a great vibe for selling books. Next, he considered Relentless, a name he liked so much that he actually bought the domain. Fun fact, if you type relentless.com even today, it still redirects to Amazon. Go ahead, try it. Now that you've seen it for yourself, take a second to hit the subscribe button and join my channel. Your relentless support keeps us going. In the end, he chose Amazon. The name started with A, giving it an edge in alphabetical listings, and it referenced the largest river in the world. That fit his vision perfectly, because Bezos wasn't trying to build just a bookstore. He wanted to create the everything store. In 1995, the Amazon website officially went live. The first order ever placed was a book about artificial intelligence, which showed how niche the early customers were. But that small moment marked the beginning of something huge. Soon, orders started coming in from different parts of the United States and even from other countries. At the beginning, every order felt like a victory. Jeff and his team even rang a bell each time a customer made a purchase. But as more people started using the site, Orders came in so quickly that they had to stop ringing the bell because it became too frequent. This rapid growth showed that people were ready for a new way to shop. Jeff realized he was not just selling books, he was offering convenience, speed, and access to a much wider selection than any physical store could provide. Customers could now sit at home and order what they wanted without stress. As the business grew, Jeff made one thing very clear. Speed was more important than perfection. The team worked long hours, made mistakes, learned quickly, and kept improving. In 1997, Amazon became a public company, allowing people to invest in it through the stock market. Many experts on Wall Street did not believe the company would succeed because it was not making profits yet. Some even predicted it would fail. But Jeff had a different mindset. He told investors to focus on long-term growth instead of short-term profit. He believed that if the company kept expanding and gaining customers, profits would come later. And eventually, he proved them right. But Jeff believed that trust was more important than quick profit. By allowing open reviews, Amazon became a place where people could not only buy products, but also make better decisions. This built strong customer loyalty and made people trust the platform more than traditional stores. As Amazon continued to grow, it slowly expanded beyond just selling books. It began adding more product categories like CDs, DVDs, toys, and electronics. Step by step, the company was moving closer to Jeff's original vision, becoming the everything store. Customers no longer needed to visit multiple shops. They could find almost anything in one place. This expansion helped Amazon attract more users and increase the number of repeat customers. The more people used the platform, the stronger it became. In 2000, Jeff Bezos made another bold and unexpected decision. He allowed third-party sellers to list and sell their own products on Amazon. At the time, this sounded risky. Why would a company invite competition onto its own platform? But Jeff was thinking long-term. By allowing other sellers, Amazon could offer a much wider range of products without owning all the inventory. This move also helped the company grow faster and collect valuable data about customer behavior. Over time, this marketplace system became one of Amazon's biggest strengths. At the same time, Amazon was investing heavily in its systems. It was not just building a website, it was building a powerful engine for storage, shipping, and delivery. But just as things were growing fast, something unexpected happened. In 2000, the dot-com bubble crash hit. Many internet companies failed almost overnight. Amazon's stock price dropped sharply, and many experts believed the company would not survive. Some even predicted bankruptcy. Inside the company, things became very difficult. There were layoffs, cost cuts, and serious pressure to survive. The dream of building the everything store seemed like it might collapse. But instead of panicking, Jeff became more focused. He reduced spending, improved operations, and made the company more efficient. This moment became one of the most important turning points in its history. After surviving the crash, Amazon came back stronger. It shifted from just growing fast to building a system that could last for a long time. One major focus was logistics. The company started building large, advanced warehouses across different locations. These were not ordinary storage spaces. They used machines, scanners, and tracking systems to manage millions of products. This made deliveries faster and more reliable. Amazon was no longer just an online store. It was becoming a powerful logistics network. In 2005, Amazon introduced a new service called Prime. This allowed customers to get fast, 2-day shipping without paying extra for each order. Many people thought this idea would lose money and fail, but Jeff understood customer behavior very well. Once people experienced fast and free delivery, they would not want to go back. And that is exactly what happened. Customers who joined Prime started buying more frequently and became loyal to Amazon. The company was no longer just a shopping option. It became the first choice. After Prime began to change how people shopped, Amazon started expanding into completely new industries. One of the biggest breakthroughs came from an internal tool the company originally built for itself. To manage its growing online systems, Amazon created a powerful cloud computing infrastructure. This eventually became Amazon Web Services, also known as AWS. At first, it was just meant to help Amazon run its own operations, but later it was offered to other companies. This decision changed the entire technology industry. Soon, startups, governments, and major companies like Netflix began using AWS to power their websites and applications. Without realizing it at first, Amazon had built the backbone of a large part of the internet. In 2007, Amazon made another major move by launching the Kindle. This was a small digital device designed for reading books. It allowed users to carry thousands of books in one lightweight gadget. At the time, many people still preferred physical books and doubted the idea. But over time, the Kindle became extremely popular and changed how people read forever. Bookstores began to struggle, while digital reading grew rapidly. This was another example of how Amazon often introduced ideas that seemed strange at first, but later became the new normal. As the company continued to grow, Jeff Bezos pushed Amazon into even more areas of daily life. It expanded into streaming services, smart devices like Alexa, and even physical retail. One of the biggest moves came in 2017, when Amazon bought Whole Foods Market for $13.7 billion. This was a major step into the grocery industry. It showed that Amazon was no longer just an online company. It was blending online and offline shopping into one system. Stores became part of Amazon's larger delivery and logistics network. But with this massive growth also came criticism. Reports began to surface about difficult working conditions in Amazon warehouses, including high pressure and strict performance targets. At the same time, regulators and governments started questioning whether Amazon had too much influence over online shopping and data. In 2020, Jeff Bezos was even called to testify before the U.S. Congress about the company's power and business practices. Despite this pressure, Amazon continued to grow and expand globally. By 2021, Jeff Bezos announced that he would step down as CEO after more than 2 decades leading the company. He passed control to Andy Jassy, who had previously led AWS. Bezos then shifted his focus toward new ambitions, especially space exploration through Blue Origin. Even though he left the CEO role in 2021, he remained closely connected to the direction of Amazon as its executive chairman. This allowed him to still influence big decisions while handing over day-to-day control to Andy Jassy. It marked the end of an era, but not the end of his influence. At the same time, Bezos turned more attention to his space company, Blue Origin. His long-term goal was simple but extremely ambitious: to help humans eventually live and work beyond Earth. On July 20th, 2021, he even flew to space aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket. That moment was symbolic. The boy who once dreamed about space as a child had now physically reached it. But for Bezos, it was not just a personal achievement. It was a signal of what he believed the future could become. Back on Earth, Amazon continued to expand rapidly, even without its original founder as CEO. The company pushed deeper into artificial intelligence, smart home technology, and automation. Products like Alexa became common in millions of homes, changing how people interacted with technology. At the same time, AWS kept growing as one of the most important cloud systems in the world, powering everything from small startups to large global institutions. Amazon was no longer just a shopping platform. It had become a multi-layered technology empire. However, as Amazon's influence increased, so did global scrutiny. Governments in the United States and other countries began investigating whether the company had too much control over online retail and whether it was unfair to smaller businesses. Lawmakers questioned its data practices, pricing strategies, and marketplace dominance. In several hearings, executives from Amazon were asked to explain how the company balanced competition with its own products versus third-party sellers. These discussions showed that Amazon was not just a business success story anymore. It had become a central topic in global economic policy. At the same time, another important part of Bezos's life continued to grow, and at the center of it all is Jeff Bezos, a man who started with a simple online bookstore idea and ended up building one of the most influential technological and commercial empires in modern history. But even this is not the final chapter. The real question now is what happens next, when Amazon becomes even more integrated with artificial intelligence, automation, and global infrastructure, and whether the next phase of this empire will be even bigger than everything that came before.